Hello, my name is Mandy Johnson Berger, and for this assignment we had to do a video reflection of our lesson plan that we taught to a class of our choosing. I chose to teach my lesson plan to a third grade classroom. Overall, I thought my lesson plan went really well. My lesson plan dealt with kind of letting boys and girls know that what they did and what they choose to do was okay and that we're all different. It kind of had a bully theme behind it just because I think right now in our school district we've been seeing a lot of it, so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on. And then my objective was for the kids after the lesson to be able to write an opinion piece of 3 or 4 sentences on how they would feel if they were bullied. So at the beginning of the lesson, we just kind of talked about different fun things kids like to do. And I had the kids stand up and then kind of look around the room so they could see that, you know, there weren't just boys standing up. There might have been boys and girls standing up. And then we did a Venn diagram. And I thought all the kids did really well with that. I was pretty pleased with that. You know, I think if I would have had more time, it would have been interesting to have them take it, fill it out by themselves, and then, you know, maybe then the next day going over it together. But since it was just, you know, a 60-minute class period, I split them up into groups so we had plenty of time for everything on my lesson plan. We also, after we did the Venn diagram, we talked about it, you know, what boys liked and what girls liked, and by the time we were all done, the middle part was actually what kids like to do. So it just kind of showed them that, you know, there might be things they like to do and there might be things they don't like to do, and that's okay. Being different is okay, and we're all different in some sort of way. And then after that, I read a story. This is probably part of the lesson plan that I wasn't, I would say, the most happiest about. I really did like the story and the message it had. I just felt like maybe the story was too long, and so maybe towards the end some of the kids weren't quite as engaged as some of the other kids. I think if I would have had a shorter book, it would have been better. You know, and part of my behavior plan that I had in with my lesson plans for a couple of the kids in the classroom who were on IEPs during the reading of the book, since I knew it was a little bit longer, I made sure they were by me and that they could see the pictures, because I wanted to make sure that I kept them engaged so they didn't have a chance to, you know, necessarily touch or talk to their neighbors. I wanted to make sure that they were easy for me to keep their attention, and I think I did that pretty well. You know, that was kind of the same thing with the Venn diagram. They sat in the front of the room, so I did try and walk around quite a bit, but I always made sure that I stopped and was by this one student's desk, so if he needed help or was struggling, I could make sure I helped him before behavior did arise. Then after our story, I just, you know, talked about the key points, and we discussed it a little bit and how they would feel if the stuff in the story had happened to them, and I thought all the kids really did a good job with that. And then after that, they went back to their desks, and then this is when I had them write the story. Not write the story. I wanted them to write kind of their opinion piece on how they would feel if they were ever put in a situation and they were told they couldn't do something they liked. And I wanted them to write 3 or 4 sentences. I did have modifications for 3 of the kids in the classroom, and they only had to write 2 sentences, which, you know, I'm glad that I lowered it down to 2, because even for some of the other kids, writing the 3 to 4 sentences was a little bit tougher for them. I think after about 2 sentences, a lot of them were kind of stuck on what to write for a 3rd sentence. And, you know, some of them did do great, didn't need any help at all, but there were several that struggled with getting the 4 sentences and asked for help with the 3rd sentence. So, but otherwise, I think, you know, all the kids did a great job. I tried to assess throughout my whole thing, my whole lesson, by just making sure that all the kids were still engaged and paying attention. I did, you know, thumbs up if you were ready to move on, and if you weren't, then, you know, keep working, and we'd wait till everybody had their thumbs up. That seemed to work really well, and the kids liked that. Then at the end of the lesson, I did a self-assessment, and I kind of went over that a little bit with the kids. I kind of wished that maybe I would have had a bigger picture of them to put on the board of the self-assessment so I could have explained it better, because I think they might have been a little confused about it. But they liked the idea of grading their own papers. You know, it was after it was all done and I went through and read them, it was kind of funny because about half of them just wrote, you know, 100 all the way down, which I'm sure you expect to see out of any class. But then it was kind of funny because then half of them I felt did a really good job of actually, you know, grading, and they didn't give themselves 100 and said, you know, they should have wrote one more sentence. And so that was kind of interesting to see that some of them realized that, you know, they didn't do exactly all 4 sentences. And so I thought for me that was probably one of the neatest things I saw that came out of the lesson. Then I had my own assessment that I did afterwards that kind of combined everything we had done for the lesson together, and I did that on my own. And that was, you know, it was just kind of, I think I had 5 questions on there. You know, were the kids engaged? Did they write the sentences? Did they, you know, keep to themselves? So it was pretty basic. So I do think that my strength for this lesson plan was, you know, walking around the room and making sure all the kids were engaged. And if they had questions, I felt like I did a good job answering them. You know, I do think my weaknesses for this lesson and probably this semester in general was just writing my lesson plan. I know, you know, we were told to keep our goals and objective for our lesson plan short and, you know, clear and short and make it easy. And I think mine might have been a little long. So it's definitely something I need to work on, and it's definitely an area that I struggle. And then the assessments, that's probably another area that I think I need to spend some more time on, just to make sure that, you know, even though the kids like the self-assessment, it's definitely not something you could do all the time. So those would be the areas I think I need the most work on. So other than that, I thought my lesson plan went really good. I do think if I had to change anything, it would probably be maybe just to find a shorter story, and maybe instead of having them write sentence, find something else for them to do instead of, you know, the 3 to 4 sentence as my goal, the opinion piece. But otherwise, I thought the lesson went okay. So thank you.